Southeast Queensland is a stunning motorcycle destination. One of the popular Sunday rides is the Beechmont Loop. Mountains rise behind the famous beaches of the Gold Coast, creating a lofty hinterland that's reminiscent of other exotic countries. A remarkable riding destination on the doorstep of two major cities.
I think it might have been the first Saturday morning. We woke up in a new house and all I could hear was motorbikes making their way up here, the Canungra and the Beechmont, loop. And it's a great little run.
It doesn't really matter if you're on a 250cc commuter bike, an adventure tourer, or even a full-on sports bike. There's something on the Beechmont Loop for every kind of motorcycle and every kind of rider. Many Australians are choosing to resettle in Southeast Queensland. There is variety and the weather is great all year round.
Originally from Warragamba, down in Sydney, Warragamba Dam, was born and raised. Lived overseas for a short period of time, but just nearly 2 years ago, resigned from work and moved up here to the Gold Coast hinterland and just fell into this within 20 minutes of here, and it's just a great backyard.
There are two ways to get onto the Beechmont Loop, and both are exhilarating. One is through Nerang on the northern end of the Gold Coast. The other is via what feels like the gateway to Brisbane, the historic town of Canungra.
What is Canungra? It's the hidden valley, hidden treasure. Like, there's not many places you can go that is half an hour, 45 minutes from the main cities, and you can think you're a world away.
Known as the Valley of the Owls, Canungra owes its existence to the early cedar getters and sawmillers in the early part of the 20th century. Its tourism success hasn't jaded its colonial charm.
We'd like to think it hasn't changed. It's still our great little town that everybody loves. But in saying that, there's always a small amount of change. We like to think for the better. So a lot of people like to start and meet here at Canungra. So whether that's going with a few guys and stopping here for coffee and breakfast. But as you say, once they're here, the main loop is up over Beechmont. Now, if you've never been to Beechmont, you're pretty much on top of the world.
Other nearby popular destinations include Lamington National Park and the mountain resorts of Binnaburra and O'Reilly's. Canungra is a perfect pit stop along the way.
So I'm Andrew Cavino, owner of the Outpost Cafe for 16 years now. Been long established in the area. Also now when you come out, you can fill up yourself and grab a pie, but also operating the BP, which is adjoining us on our property. So you've really got to come down and try the pies. Yeah.
Alrighty, here we are at Canungra, centre of the universe for motorcycle riding in Southeast Queensland. Got to get up early, get out, have some fun. If you're ever here for a pie, and I hope you do, try a chicken and mushroom. They're my absolute favourite.
You've got beautiful green pastures out here, the windy roads for the bikers. It's a short day trip for families where, especially things when times are tough, they can get out quickly, go for the day, go for a bushwalk, a picnic, stop for a coffee or a pie, and away you go, you're off. So it's just such a remarkable place out this way.
The Beechmont Loop offers several preserved remnants of Canungra's history. One is an old tramway tunnel that was part of an incredibly steep 1 in 12.5 grade line just out of town. It was constructed in 1900 to transport timber logs from the valleys of the south. It must have been a nerve-wracking descent for the loco crew. By the 1920s, most of the timber had been exhausted and it was closed in 1935. Our mountain ride also takes us past the famous Kokoda Australian Army barracks. They were established in 1942 for troop jungle warfare training, destined for combat in the Pacific region. Nothing better than twisting the throttle on a modern classic bike, exploring Southeast Queensland's history.
Yeah, it's a 1976 CB750 Honda 4. It's got a 4-into-1 because, as I said to somebody, it's my youth I'm reliving, and that's what they used to do with them back in the day, in the late 70s. Yeah, and it's just a nice old bike to get out and have a bit of a trundle around, you know. You wind up that windy part, so you're in amongst the trees, you know, there's lots of shadow, lots of dark, and as you come out over the top, you know, the tree line goes, the paddocks are clear, and you just get views, and you get, when we come up there, the sun just opened up, you know, you come out of the shade, you know, and which could be like, you know, I've ridden up here sometimes where it's a bit cool, the winter months, you know, and you ride through the windy bits and it'll be very cold, and as you come up, the sun gets you, and it's just, yeah, it's just a great, I just love riding a motorbike.
There's one section, I know they're actually fixing the road, but it's quite good because it's bumpy, and I know where the bumps are now, and I know how to avoid them, or at least how to handle the bike as it bucks and weaves around it. But the great thing about that is once you've done this set of corners and you're really wound up and you're giving it some wick, you then come out across the top and you're looking both ways. You're riding along a ridge, and the scenery is just spectacular, and you feel like you're in some sort of video or something, because it's just amazing scenery. You're all pumped because you had a coffee at the cafe just before you came, and now you're extra pumped because you've just done this hard bit of road and you've been bumped around, and then you've got this lovely cool section, and then you go in and out of forests. There's hairpins. There's all sorts of interesting aspects on that road. It's not just one thing, it's just so many things. I think that's why people like it, and that's why it attracts so many riders, and of course that's why it attracts so many police as well.
The views are unbelievable. There's a lot of places you can ride winding roads and so on, but I mean, you only got to look. There's sites like this, the Gold Coast cityscape, you know, down the road a little bit further you see when you come up. It's just there's always something to look at, and as the light changes every day, morning or afternoon, it's always a little bit different, you know.
We are definitely a destination for a lot of the motorbike riders, as you can hear in the background. I mean, again, growing up here, it's always been a bit of a thoroughfare for a lot of motorbike riders, so I guess naturally it's just a nice destination for them to be able to stop on their way and enjoy a nice cup of coffee. My name is Gemma, and my husband in there is cooking away. His name is AJ. And we own this cafe, which is Flying Bean Cafe, and we've been here for just over 3 years now. It's still probably one of the less populated of the mountains on the Gold Coast. We've got Springbrook and Tambourine and Beechmont, I always say, is kind of like the middle child, a little bit missed in the middle. There's not many other places where you can sit here and watch the paragliding and look down the valley and see Mount Warning. So we're very, very, very lucky to be in this part of the world, and very fortunate to have grown up here and still be here.
I sort of laughed to myself when I parked up over there. I parked it up beside 2 Ducati superbikes, yes, and I went, oh yeah, park all the superbikes together, you know. Mine's just about, not quite 50 years old.
There's a lot of things that are very edifying about completing a ride at the end of the day. That corner that you nailed, the distances that you've covered, the things that you've seen. Sometimes some of those whoops moments where you nearly went off, but you managed to save it. And also your body, at the end of a ride, your body's tingling. Your ears are buzzing, your body's still tingling from the, jacket's been flapping against you. You're tired, and maybe in the wrists and in the back and in the legs, and it's sort of like you've just run a marathon. There's such an incredible feeling of accomplishment.
My name's Joe McDermott. I ride a CF Moto 650 MT. I'm well aware that I'm not the rider I used to be, but I'm getting better, and I'm really, really enjoying it. It's beautiful. If you're driving a car, typically it's almost like a video game just playing through the windscreen. You're part of it, but you're separated from it. On a motorcycle, you're part of everything. You're part of every fly that hits you, every breeze that blows back, front or sideways, every bump in the road, you feel it. And it's that being part of it that I really, really enjoy.
Even though, you've seen this story again and again of people who've been interested in motorcycles, then they get a family, a career, and they get diverted, but they come back to it. They come back to motorcycles, and oftentimes they'll come back to a motorcycle. You know, this is why they collect those old motorcycles, or they'll come back to like a modern classic. It's that bike that was, you had a poster on your bedroom wall, and that's the thing that you saw when you woke up in the morning, that's the thing you saw when you went to bed at night, and that's the thing that was your passion in those days. And that always stays with you.